I got a rag over the camera. We got a pretty strong cross breeze when it comes along. I wanted to explain about body work on these fenders because this fender is atrocious. And other times, okay, when money wasn't so tight, I would have replaced the fender. But in this case, I made an exception, and then I'll show you my body mounts because I am going to show you guys how to construct some of this stuff. Remember my favorite summertime friends? I want to introduce you to another one, wherever he's at. Here, boy, come here. Okay, this guy. Now you see, I don't know who fought harder in any war. Me, the Romans, the Civil War, maybe the Japanese at Pearl Harbor. Those were some wars, and so is this, because it's already past noon. Orange Cat's here. And the other day, all you guys that are into sadism, I got a new one for you. Just try your MIG welder that's sitting over there, and when you're welding upside down and that slag goes in your armpit, whoo-wee! Orange Cat was like, where's he at? Where's he at? Because he heard me yelling, and the cat's zigzagging around the truck trying to find out what the culprit is. And then I'm in the medicine cabinet and the kitchen trying to find anything I can to put my armpit, the fire that I built in my armpit out, besides the hole that's still there. But anyway, it was a pleasurable experience. So any of you sadists that like sadism, try the MIG welder. Okay, you're going to lay right on the holes. I make all my pieces up first, and that's what my little friend is about. So if you're not quite ground out all the way with these discs, the size disc, it can be difficult with these contours and stuff. This can get in, and that's a sanding pad. I have little flap discs, all kinds of accessories. I have about 3 or 4 of these. They're my favorite. Buddy, I love my cat, but sometimes, especially if he thinks that I'm in jeopardy, he gets right between me and customers, and he knocks things over. Come on, bud. Yes, that's going to go here. I got a little bit of tooling on this, but when I do my tooling, I actually have the piece tacked in place. Now we're going to talk about tacks. Can you give me a break for a YouTube video, dude? Holy cow. In here, your metal sticker. Remember I told you most shops, most places, we use body glue. The unfortunate part of this, okay, is there's only certain places you can weld to. That's where either the metal's doubled up, where there's a seam like this, or a crimp seam. Otherwise, you got to use body glue because a welder will go right through it. And the other problem is if there's rust on the other side of the welds, you're going to have the panel popping loose. So sometimes, a lot of times, I use a combination of body glue and welds. In this case, it doesn't warrant it. This fender's shot. Whatever it is, whatever happens, happens. Okay? Now, we're going to cover these body frame mounts. Hey, that was classy. Okay. I'm going to take you over here. You can clearly see in there. Okay, now that didn't get coated yet. I did shoot a little primer here and there because we did have weather coming in. Now, my MO on these is where I cut this off, this is exposed nickel weld. See this? This is a nickel weld. Okay, now my welds will hold. I got good penetration there. Okay, I already know what I did. Okay, that's what your mount looks like. You're going to cut that on your bench. Make both pieces exactly the same. Okay, you got to make a left and a right. Then I made my top piece out of that other piece of metal. And then, as I scoot along the ground at my age, okay, that's what they look like. All right, that's holding the body up. Okay, the other ones aren't shot. They're a little rusty here and there. We're going to do some other stuff. And we're going to clean this frame down pretty good. And the inside's got to get blown out. Up in here, on the other side, they hold a lot of dirt. Get that out of there. And then she's going to get, I use a combination of RP342 at places where I know that I'm going to have to maybe service or work on something eventually. Because mechanics don't appreciate getting wool wax or fluid film. And I use a combination of both. But as you can see, it kept everything from totally cancering out over the years. But the rest of it, I made a mistake using some solid coatings and stuff on this. So for you guys that, by the way, these are called a stitch weld, okay? I don't have to weld it all the way across. That's nice and solid. That's not dropping out of there. It's welded top and bottom, okay? That's what you get. But when they're selling trucks that have 220,000 to almost 250,000 miles, down south the bodies don't get quite as bad. And if they're garage kept down south, they're survivors. They look pretty damn good. But you got to realize you got a vehicle that's about shot. So if you have a new one, or if you have a new engine like I do, a good heavy-duty rebuilt transmission, Joe did an awesome job on that transmission on that truck, because that's held up from the time I bought that, maybe not 15, about 13 years ago. I bought that truck, and I've just driven the wheels off of it. It's been to California, it's been to Texas, it's been everywhere. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make those pieces that if you go to a fabrication shop, I can give you a schedule, okay, if you want to get in contact with me or on the phone. And all you need is a metal schedule, and you can cut all your own pieces, because they're selling those body frame mounts at like 120 bucks a pop. And I think the back ones are like more, they're like 150. I have to check the prices. But the thing is, you don't want that Chinese tissue paper. It just rots out. This metal, it just doesn't rot. It gets a little rust where you cut it and stuff like that. But if you rust treat it and coat it, it never rots. I have it on 2 other trucks, and I'm really impressed. And I'll pay Schmitty the extra money for the metal. I don't care what he wants. And by the way, I have to compliment my friend Schmitty. He did an awesome job, really, with the metal, down to the exact inch. He's made few mistakes since I know the man. I owe him money. I got to get over to pay him. And then the other guy, my other summertime friend there, Slippers, I miss him. I don't know what's going on with his truck, but mine's still not ready. We might have to do the bed on his truck next year, because there's been far too much weather here. I've still got to paint this. I don't look around. I don't want it looking like a spotted leopard going down the street. It just attracts cops. They think you're a drug dealer or a cholo or one of those scrap haulers. If there's enough, I'm just going to title it Classic, because I'm tired of this. That was the other thing I wanted to discuss is there's a couple places here, they can't make any money off me, okay? They can't sell me a cabanger bar adjustment, taillight fluid, you know, a headlight snorkel and polish. I know too much, and they're not going to get away with their bullshit. Like I said, I caught 2 of these other places, and I've caught calipers being loosened up when people have had vehicles there. You know, they leave, and a couple of weeks later, they've got a problem they never had before. I'm sick of it myself, okay? The state inspection is nothing but in this state, it's nothing but a booby trap for the working guy. You take your vehicle in there, and all of a sudden they want to sell you windshield wipers, the cabanger bar adjustment, oh, this nut is rusty, oh, you got a rust hole, oh, but we'll take care of it, or we'll send you to somebody that, yeah, and then you get your vehicle over there, and the guy says, I'll fix that for $150, maybe $55, and the next thing when you're going to pick it up, it's $1,000. Oh, well, you know, they don't even call you, some of those guys. From those, when they get recommended, they know they got them by the balls, and that's what they're going to do. They're just going to they're going to tell you it's a $50 repair, and when you go to pick it up, it's $1,000. Now here things do turn. One thing is, when you're dealing with rust work, one thing can turn into another. But I mean, if I charge somebody $500 to put a new rocker on, that, you know, that's about what I get. Now sometimes paint is a variable. Depends on how much pearl. Depends on if it's a single stage, base coat, clear coat, or you have 3 and 4 stage paints now. You have paints where you have a pearl coat. You have to put your base coat down and then lay your pearl over the base coat. Then you have to wait a day or 2 for that to dry, because it stays tacky, and that can cost some money, especially if it's a vehicle, and especially if the masking gets wet or the wind gets a hold of it. I just saw them. They were my buddy's body shop down the road here. They pulled the vehicle out, and they had it all taped off. I guess they had to move things around inside the shop. That's the problem, is when you're in the busy season like this, that's what I complain here is when I get a vehicle stuck here, I want money out of people because I want it out of my way, simply because it's in my way, and I got to cut grass. But they were moving the vehicle, and all the masking, the plastic, it was like a parachute, and it just, the wind was so intense, it just went down the street, and I'm going, okay, but those things happen. But it costs money to remask the vehicle, and especially when everything else is pulled loose with the plastic. So what I'm trying to tell you is, my truck, I know what I got there. Every time I ever turned the key in this thing, it started, and it's been flawless. I'm sorry that AutoZone, you know, these slumlords leave 2-foot deep holes in our roads that do shit and do damage. But this thing was due for another overhaul, because when I got her the first year, I forget how much money I put into it. But I mean, I put money into it the first year I had it. But I drove the wheels off of it up until, like I said, it got parked about 2.5, almost 3 years ago. It was in November when it or not November, March. I had just put the motor in it. I mean, I used the truck maybe a dozen times over the winter, and then, like I said, I went out to Ohio for those parts. The engine was smoldering hot when I went down in that hole, and like as I said, I don't know whether the other shop that fixed the A-frame arm on it, whether they did the nasty to it, maybe did something to the motor, because I know they did that to Slipper's truck. They deliberately destroyed that motor in his vehicle. So that's the way it is here in the Hillbilly Hills. And I'll have more political commentary. I didn't get too many replies off you folks. I did not get too many replies. You know, who do you think had more to gain by trying to kill Trump, Iran or Israel? Because Israel wanted their war. And if you don't think we're paying for wars, I told you, I was building bicycles all the way back then. And I said, we're paying for these goddamn wars through our food and our fuel prices, and they just keep going through the roof. So listen to your Pennsylvania Dutch uncle. Don't listen to the bullshit. As I said, they should just turn Fox News into the Muppet Show, because all they are is parrots for the deep state too. And right now, like I said, Trump's got his balls in a vice. Maybe World War III is coming. I don't know. I don't wish World War III on anybody, because that war is going to spill on soil, folks. There's going to be some carnage, and people are not going to know here in the United States how to live without power, water, probably even me, because we're too goddamn spoiled. But you just go a week without a bath or a shower, and you're smelling like a peeled onion. This country, it should have stayed out of the goddamn global war business, and they should have stopped leaving our senators like Mullins and that other tard out there, okay, that's, they're teaching people to invest in these tech stocks when there's going to be a war. That's encouragement to go start these conflicts, folks. And I suggest people get a handle on it, okay? And then just like those poor politicians that were killed, they unalived them. You teaching our kids and my grandchildren to speak retards like you. My grandkids and me, we speak perfect conveyance. No bullshit, no nothing, okay? And I don't want it to start, okay? Oh, Dad, I unalived somebody today. I need some help. I'd haul back, and I'm very upset with what I see going on at my age, and I'm sure a lot of other people are very rattled. That's why I still smoke. I'd love to drive to D.C. and just get my hands around a couple of fucking necks and ask them what's the matter with them. That particularly goes with that Schumer and Ratskins and Dirty Dicky there. I'm going to tell you something. That's a crew right there. That's the deep state. They're all Israeli. They're all dual citizens. It's another thing your government's not being honest with you. Those people are proven dual citizens. But you think our mainstream lane brain media would tell people that these people are manipulating this war, and they're manipulating all of this carnage on the American people? And I just exhibited on Twitter, catch me under my real name or the Silverado on Twitter. I just showed meats. They're rotting in our counters. You got to watch what you buy at the store. The shelves are teeming full. The stuff is aging because it's only selling here and there. They're not selling like they used to. I just got sick on cauliflower and broccoli from the store. And I looked at the bag. It was about a week from being out of date. How do they get away with doing this shit? But I'll have more political commentary. I've got something that nobody's heard of, and I just want to let the airplane fly, because we have a new type of a new generation jet. I think it would solve a lot of problems in Russia, but Trump has to sink their submarines. I'm not so much afraid of a ballistic missile from Russia, even a hypersonic. They'd probably get it by the time it reached us. My rag just with the breeze. But anyway, folks, take it from me. World War III seems to be on tap. Anybody need anything for Silverados, any advice, let me know. I got all the answers.